the big story, or the two big stories of the last month, have both had Soyang Europe slap bang in the middle of them. And I thought it was a great opportunity to catch up with you and to really find out a little bit more about the thinking behind the two big announcements, which I'll let you run through in a moment, and also how this is going to affect the industry going forward. So perhaps we start with the first news story came in that you were partnering with Fujifilm, which was a shock in the start because obviously Soyang media company. How is that going to work? So should we start from there?
Absolutely. The way that it started with Soyang is that I was invited to Fujifilm to go and have a look at their new Acuity range. And really discuss with them about application more than anything else and materials for their demo centre down in Broadstairs. And one thing led to another in that they asked me if I would take them to some large format accounts. So, customers printing 3.2 and 5 metre media, which is really a very large part of what Soyang are involved with in terms of PVCs, non-PVCs and textiles. So I was taking, their MD, Mr. David Burton, and some of his Japanese colleagues to try and understand the market a little bit better. And we did a lot of toing and froing. And at the end of, let's say, meeting about 8 clients, they decided to ask me if we would be interested to distribute their machine. And which, we were very, very proud to be asked. But at the end of the day, we don't know that much about machinery, but we certainly know a lot about media. Yeah. And we certainly deal with all the accounts who were buying grand format substrates. Yep. So that's how it started.
Okay, so you obviously got you thinking. You didn't want to say an outright no, of course. So how was the thinking going from there then? How have you gone from there to let's do this?
Because of the reaction that we were getting, and kind of the really fresh approach that was coming out of Fuji, and the research and development that they've done over a long period of time. Because Fuji is a very strong brand. And we were very confident in their abilities to bring machines to the market. We did think, there's a definite opportunity for us there, and we'll certainly try and help them. But one thing leads to another then. We didn't really have an infrastructure to sell machinery because we don't have engineers, we don't have the technical know-how. And that's when the discussions really started with Josero, who were, very well known within the industry, and have a great reputation for service. So that's when we started talking to Loic and Sarah and John Spencer, the other director at Josero, to see if there were opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, is this something that came about from the conversations with Fuji, or is this something in the back of your mind for a while?
No, absolutely not. If it wasn't for the Fuji thing, then we probably wouldn't have contemplated the acquisition of Josero. But the easiest way to have that technical know-how was to acquire it rather than try and build it.
Okay, so obviously you work with several companies in the industry. So just seem the right fit for this, or what was the thinking behind approaching them and their response to it, I guess?
And initially there was a little bit of worry with the response, in case there was any kind of crossover with manufacturers. But at the end of the day, with the Fuji offering, it's really very large equipment. 3.2 and 5 metre roll to roll, and then 3.2 metre hybrid machines. Yeah. And the other machines that they sell are Mimaki and Agfa, and then finishing equipment. So it seemed quite a good fit, really, because there's not too much disruption between the manufacturers.
So a good initial response from them, and conversations, I guess, didn't take too long with the sound. If it has things moved, or
we've been doing due diligence for about 3 or 4 months,
right?
To acquire the majority shareholding in the business, we're not coming into Josero and making any radical changes because it runs very well. It's what Soyang can really add to the party as well for Josero, because they've got a lot of install base in terms of things like Mimaki and Agfa, and now they've got access to all our media to sell to those clients as well. So hopefully we can build their business as well as our own.
Okay, so that's the sort of the interesting part I wanted to explore a little bit as well. It is all about the customers, about the end users. What's the, I guess initially, well, there's two parts to it. There's yourselves and Fujifilm, but also with Josero. What is the real benefits to existing customers of both companies? We'll start with them, and then maybe about potentially whole new markets that you might go into. What are the real benefits to your customers as it stands at the moment?
To our customers, I think in that grand format arena, that is probably 80% of the sales that we do on media. We're a valued supplier because we hold a lot of stock of material. We service clients like you wouldn't believe, with next day deliveries out of a very large facility based up near Manchester. So we've got a lot of trust from those customers, and we would hope that bringing Fuji to them, we would have the same kind of trust as well, because we perform on media. Why shouldn't we perform on selling machinery and giving the backup on that? And that's why it led to the acquisition of Josero, really, because you can't have one without the other. And we'll build Josero, and we'll make sure that our technical team.
So, and back the other way, really. So for Josero, maybe I'll talk to Sarah in a moment, but for Josero's customers, there's, as you say, there's the opportunity to move into the grander format. Is that something that
absolutely? A lot of the people that are buying the smaller machines, as they grow the business, will trade up into the larger machinery. Yesterday I was going through a database at Josero, and I was absolutely amazed on the amount of names that we don't know and we don't touch from Soyang. So there's big opportunities for them to trade up machines, but there's also big opportunities for their sales team now to sell our materials at competitive pricing. So we want to build a really nice consumables division for Josero as well now.
How's it going in terms of the market's response to what's happened?
Yeah, everybody's very positive about it. They think it's quite a smart move on our behalf, with what we've done with Fuji and Josero. And we're already doing demonstrations down at Fuji in the next few weeks with customers who are looking at capital investments for big ticket kit. So hopefully we'll come away with something there. And we've already managed to lever in a 5-meter machine somewhere for Fuji already. So, it can't all be bad.
Is there a trend, do you feel, for companies that have large format to move to grand? What is the kind of the push that takes them to that next level?
Tends to be driven by their customers' requirements and contracts that they're winning and getting involved in. And obviously, if they don't have the correct equipment to deal with that, then that's when they start looking to invest. And it's great to see companies come up through the ranks, when they've started off with a 1.6 meter machine, not sure whether it's for them or not. And they've, all of a sudden they've got a 3.2 meter machine and the business has really taken off. So it's really, really encouraging to see.
And I suspect it probably almost works even more efficiently in the other direction. If somebody's already got 1 or 2 grand format machines, they're more likely in a way to need smaller formats.
Yeah, of course. There's a real mixture of machines that are needed, and people are looking more and more at efficiency. So it's the right, they've got to have the right machine.
You're already talking to customers, making things happen. How do you feel about the future with this relationship?
Yeah, no, it's really positive for both businesses. It makes absolute perfect sense. It's a sort of marriage made in heaven, if you will. We've got all the expertise of selling hardware, and Soyang have the expertise in media. So bring the two together, and it can only be positive for everybody.